So you wanted to come and chat it up. So what's on your mind? Man, what TheeEnicole is?
Ain't nowhere to run to. Ain't no matter. You know I be on my one.
Man, what TheeEnicole is?
Let's go, mama. I done it. You know they wanna phone. I get it. I got. Cause I'm that kind of woman. Classy ratchet, clutch it even, against the leader, money fever, keep a heater, triple beamer. You know that I keep it coming.
This is Tasha Lyons telling you to tune into TheeEnicole.
Hey y'all, what's going on? Now, I'm usually behind the scenes over here, but I had to pop out because this is a special occasion, okay? Third time is usually a charm, and I have one of my absolute faves in the building. I think y'all probably know who it is because it's a lot of chatter going on, a lot of things that I haven't heard because let's just be real. We all have our picks and chooses. Like, let's just be honest, you know. But this has been quite a season, and so I'm just gonna bring her right on in. Hey, Winter.
Hey. I love your sticker. I love that. The frame is nice.
Thank you. You know, I had to spruce it up because winter is back. Okay.
Listen, I appreciate you having me back. Excited to be here and catch up since we done wrapped up this season, child.
Yeah, and what a wrap up it has been. Yes. I have some places I want to start, but I think I want to jump into the deep end because you're no stranger here anymore.
No.
So let's start with just the transformation because we've seen you where you was kind of like enemy of the people.
Oh, yeah. What you told me about my husband?
Woo, child. I could tell upon walking up on him, I was walking into some BS. Ashley was in hers, crouched down, linebacker stance. Raina was propped up. I knew it was about to be a mess.
Let's welcome her in.
Why is Winter here? Are you asking a question? I'm asking a question. I'm just like confused. Like, why is Winter here? If you don't get along with Winter, I don't get along with Winter. You don't get along with Winter.
Wait, she don't know Winter. I invited Winter because
let's get in her business to now it's kind of like up in the air. So how you feeling about this season?
I feel like you described what this season is, up in the air. And there's a lot of factors that go into that. I think if people strip away the cash drama of it all, I still have a really strong, solid fan base, believe it or not. And I hate to call them fans, I call them family. But
that's cute.
They ride hard for me. So those people honestly have rocked with me since the beginning. I think the turmoil of this season with so much going on, it's caused people to kind of have this love-hate thing with me. And a lot of that is directly connected with the person I had the most friction with season 1, which is Ashley. And they absolutely hate Ashley this year. So
yeah.
It's unfortunate.
Let's talk about that for a second, though, because from what we see on the reunion, you guys have repackaged Ashley and Winter and all that. What is your guys' relationship looking like now post reunion?
So that's the thing, and I love that choice of words because that's exactly what it is, packaged, because Ashley and I were honestly not close at reunion. We were getting to know each other and building a friendship, but we were still fairly new into it. So I honestly was not team anyone but Winter on that stage. And of course, always team Black, and I was that the entire season. But they didn't really capture Ashley and I's friendship growth because it wasn't done on camera. It was done off camera. And I think the fans started to notice us like going on vacation together, going to happy hour and events and things like that. But it wasn't done for the show. In fact, Ashley knew fairly early after my wrapping the season, I informed her that I had told production I wasn't coming back. So she knew I wasn't coming back. So it's funny to hear people say, "Oh, she's just using you. You'll be next." I'm like, "Well, honey, I don't know how she gonna use me when I ain't there." So
Right.
we just made a conscious effort to really bury the hatchet. Yes, it
So
was
are you
rough
saying you weren't going to come back to the season we just had, or you're not coming back anymore?
anymore.
Oh no. What this
Anymore.
is the first time I'm hearing this. Is this, do the people know this?
If they don't know, they're starting to know. But yeah, I'm not returning. This was my last season. And I knew going in that this was my last season. I informed KRE that this was my last season. And it's interesting because I think with reality TV, people sometimes go back and forth and they have a hard time deciding. But I was decided going in. I knew going in I wasn't coming back. I knew that this would be my last season. And it appears that I've been on 2 seasons, even though we have filmed season 2 and season 3. All were
Mhm.
in 6 months. Like they just broke it up that way, but we filmed it all in 6 months. But I knew one.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. It's really weird. And I think the fans are just so confused, bless their hearts. But I filmed
Yes.
from, yeah,
Carlos, what are you doing?
I filmed from we all filmed from October until March, and then we did pickups in April, but all of this was filmed consecutively. So I knew going into filming that 6-month stretch, that was my final stretch. I was never coming back to begin with. And my goal was really just to see if I could try to move forward and leave in a better state than what I came in with the cast, because again, we know it was all crazy. And
Right.
there was a conversation had with higher ups to address how I feel like I was painted season 1. And so, that happened. I wasn't the villain this season. I'm cool with that, but the fallout has now been because the fans hate Ashley. Now they hate Winter because they went back and edited to make it seem like it was, Team Winter and Ashley against Team Arena and Joy. And it's like,
Yes.
yeah, it's so not true because I really wasn't hanging out with anybody like that. I was primarily hanging out with Sherelle and Black, and they didn't get a lot of airtime. So that's the really weird part. Either I was with Yusha, or I was doing my own thing, or I was with Black and Sherelle. And then it wasn't until like late spring that I started to spread myself around with trying to support everybody's different events. And there's like hardcore picture documentation of this. So I don't know what to tell the fans. It's how they edit, it's how they produce. There's nothing I can do about that. But yeah, that was all done off camera. So yeah, we're in a good place and it's cool. My boyfriend that I'm seeing and I've been seeing for a year now, he knew Quick before I knew Quick. And they've done business together. But now, we have that connect where, our significant others are cool. So we have a reason to double date or go to different functions. And that's pretty nice. But other than that, yeah, that's kind of how that went down. But there was no team, nothing. Actually, at reunion, I told everyone I didn't feel like anybody was Team Winter. I felt like I was the person who was the lone wolf. I didn't feel close to anybody. They cut it out, of course, because that wouldn't go with the narrative of me being Team Ashley versus Team Joy. But I legitimately said this. In fact, Sherelle got on me for saying that. And she's like, why do you keep saying nobody is for you and we're for you? And I was like, girl, that's how I feel. Like, I don't feel like this is my group. I just don't. And I think I felt like an outsider since season 1. But aside from that, I just, that's what I said. And that's how I felt. I spoke my piece, but they cut it out. So
Yeah, the editing floor is something. So first I want to say congratulations on your new relationship.
Thank you.
So I'm gonna keep my next couple of questions very respectful because I rock with you.
Thank
But
you.
I gotta ask what the people want to know.
Yeah.
And I want to ask a question about Yusuf, right? As far as like being an opportunist, do you really feel like he was an opportunist, or did you look at it like he was being a hustler, or is it you would be okay with it, but he didn't execute it right? Like what was your gripe about how he did it?
So I'm gonna correct this for him. His name is Yusha. So
Yusha.
Sha, yes. A lot of people say Yusuf, but it's Yusha.
I'm sorry, Yusha.
No, it's okay. So I believe that a lot of things can be true at once. I actually expressed to Sherelle that I got opportunistic vibes from him around the middle of us filming. So this would have been round about the cash trip, I guess. So that was February, mid-February. And we have a whole conversation about it. I'm texting my close friends, just trying to get advice about how it's making me feel. So yeah, I do feel like he was an opportunist. But I also feel like Yusha is a hustler. I
in
think,
a good way.
Yeah, he is. So he's, to his credit, he is probably one of the most disciplined people that I know. Where I feel like he didn't execute it well is that he doesn't know how to turn it off in the right settings, and he didn't go about this in the right way. And so, like I've, consistently try to explain to him, like, this is reality TV. This is a whole different ball game. Everything you say and do can and will be used against you. Be very mindful of that, because they're watching, they're taking notes, they're making, and this is why the producer came to me and said, hey, I want to let you know, like, he was coming to us trying to pitch his own scenes, and we didn't think that was cool that he was trying to do that without you. That's not me saying that. That's producers saying that. And production had already told me once before, when I actually advocated for him to do a scene, they were like, no, we're not filming his scenes. He's not a part of the cast. Don't ask us again. So I just don't think
you were fighting for him at the same time. It's just when you addressed it, he just was like, I got to get my stuff out here.
No, he was, okay. So from Yusha's perspective, to give context, I don't think Yusha saw it as being opportunistic. Yusha saw it as, I'm giving up all of my free time to film this show with no pay. The least they could do is promote my brand.
Yeah, let me network.
Correct. Yeah. Versus from a production standpoint, we already got 6 to 8 people we trying to promote. You are not a priority, sir. So if you're here to get to know her, that has to be the focus. But if the goal is for you to figure out how you can get your brand promoted, then this is not the right deal for you.
Right.
And that's where the two didn't meet. I didn't have an issue because, again, he was giving up a lot of his time. For me, it was being blindsided by the producer telling me he was going behind my back, trying to do stuff on his own. And that's not cool. There's a, how do you call it? There's a right way, like there's a process here. I wouldn't necessarily make a gripe about my superior or my coworker to another coworker. I would go to a superior, right? So they felt like, why are you going around Winter? She's the connect here. You're a product of her. And I recall a producer telling him, like, look, man, anything you do has to be connected to her. So maybe y'all can come up with something that can tie you in, but we are not going to okay just you. It's not going to happen. And so he even asked me if I could have Joy and Clifton in the scene. He felt like that would help potentially get the scene greenlit, and they still actually said no.
Speaking of Joy, okay. So until the reunion, none of us knew, and shout out to all my Ready to Love family, because y'all know that I rock with y'all. We would have never knew that he auditioned to be on Ready to Love. What was the context of that conversation of him telling you, like, the only person he would have been connected to was Joy? Like, how did that hit you? Because your face on that couch was like...
So it's funny because I talked about this with Black and Sherelle and my friend Caressa at the time. At the time he told me this, it honestly didn't make a whole lot of sense why he would tell me. And for
You don't
me,
feel like he was keeping it real with you, or that was when keeping it real goes wrong?
it's honestly when keeping it real goes wrong, because you honestly could have just told me, hey, by the way, I auditioned for Ready to Love. You matching with Joy is none of my business. I feel like that's something you tell me if you used to date Joy. Like,
Okay.
hey, I just want you to know, I know Joy, I used to date her. Or, hey, I want you to know, I know Ashley, I used to date her. Like, to me, that's keeping it real. But you didn't tell me that. You literally told me somebody suggested to you that your match might have been Joy. That's weird. I don't need to know that information. You could have just said, hey, before you find out for somebody else, yes, I auditioned for Ready to Love. It didn't work out, moving onward. So the fact that you threw in a freebie of somebody told me that I might have matched with her, she married. Why does it matter? Like, it's
and I don't, I've been following Ready to Love for a long time. And Yusha, I'm not trying to throw you under the bus, but I've been working with a lot of Ready to Love cast members for a while. And I've never seen them like say that before the show even airs, for one. And then for two, so that is what made you feel how you felt during the season, because we were kind of asking questions like, why every time he bring up Joy, Winter is like, excuse me, what are you doing?
It was awkward at first.
What you mean?
I feel like you're always going to believe the best as captain of the Joy and Clifton fan club.
Oh.
It was awkward at first.
So that is why every time he would bring Joy up, excuse me, you would feel like, well, is there a deep, like, are you infatuated with Joy?
It doesn't
that conversation was first.
Correct. And so that's what didn't make sense. Why? It just was odd. And Sherelle even thought, like, did he tell you that to try to make you jealous? Like, nobody understood the importance of him mentioning that, especially when she has a husband, especially when you didn't make Ready to Love. She's not your ex. It's just no need to throw in that information. So that is what made us all kind of raise the eyebrow, because even Black was like, he never even told me that he auditioned for Ready to Love. Like, why wouldn't you tell your boy? Like, that's odd as well. And why wouldn't you tell me that they said something about Joy? Because I don't think Black, if he knew that information, I don't know that Black would have. I'm gonna be honest. I don't know that he would have tried to match us.
Right.
Because it just would have been an odd conflict of interest, and it would have made Black come off looking messy if he knew that ahead of time.
Exactly.
So that was the confusion that we all had. Fast forward, when Joy and I have the sit down, and I still to the life of me can't freaking figure out where that was in DC. But anyway, after the cast trip, you guys watch me and Joy have a sit down, and she tells me that you should call her. So a couple of things that I'm blown by is the fact that he has her number, because I don't know when that occurred.
Right.
To my knowledge, he doesn't know her like that. He only knows her through me.
Mm-hmm.
Secondly, the whole I see you and I want to apologize. It was just like, what is happening right now? Like, what is going on? And then back it up just a little bit. You should made a point to tell me at the Romancipation. If you guys go back and watch that scene, he speaks to Jamie first before he addresses Arena. He said, as a Muslim, and he's a Muslim, as a Muslim man, they're taught not to address wives before addressing the husband. So if you have told me this ahead of time and you have practiced this with Jamie and Arena, why haven't
you done the same with Clifton?
And Clifton didn't know.
Interesting.
Right. Clifton didn't know that he had even reached out to Joy.
Yes, because his face was like, excuse me.
Right. So there's a lot of context that the audience doesn't have. And unfortunately, the way the season's been painted, it just makes it seem like I'm tripping because he defended Joy. Actually in that
because I was there, but I, with me having conversations with you before, because let's go all the way back and tell the people. Now, when you came the first time, I was honest with you, and I was like, I was not a fan of Winter first season. I'm like, I don't know. But you can't go by what you see on an edited television show. So once you had came over and you had your first conversation with me and we got to really talk, I was like, oh, I mess with Winter. You know what I'm saying? So second season, I kind of was a little protective, like, yeah, I better not be messing with Winter. And it was totally different. And then this season, now that, you know, we've had drama, we've had good times, apologies, all these good things.
Yeah.
When that scene happened without the context, I kind of was like, Winter, give somebody a chance. What are we doing here? It was like they made it, to me, in my opinion, it was like they tried to make it seem like you was running him away and he had done nothing wrong.
Yes. And I realized that too, but this is a show and I get it. They have to figure out some sort of narrative because I'm going to be honest, we didn't even break up on the show. So they were scrambling to try to figure out how to even. So true story. What the audience doesn't know is that I actually refused to film with Yusha.
Oh, wow.
So we were actually scheduled to do one more set of couple confessionals. Okay. So you guys see us in the red, you see us in the white. We were supposed to do a third one. I said, I'm not filming with him anymore. We had a disagreement that went left. I personally felt like he tried to insult me and I just was like, hell no, I'm not doing it anymore. Moving on. Where I called production, was like, y'all got to figure this out. I'm not filming with him anymore. And so they informed him that day that would be his last confessional. So I had to go back all the way through May and refilm like post so they could fill in the gaps for our confessionals. Black and Sherelle had to go in and refilm as well because now they had to scramble to fix the narrative. Otherwise, if they air it like they capture it, y'all don't know that we're having any problems.
All right. Okay.
They had to fix yes, they had to fix all of that in post because I broke up with Yusha as soon as we wrapped filming. And I purposely actually, when did me and Yusha went to Dallas for a it was like a singles conference, preparing for marriage type of conference. You guys can go and check. I'm so glad Instagram is a heck of a record keeper. So we actually yes. So we actually went to a singles conference in Dallas. He was initially booked to speak, and then he talked to a couple of the ladies that were planning to get me on as a panelist so I could come with them. And so he's actually smack dab in the middle of Ramadan during this time. We're going to this Christian conference, which was really weird to me, neither here nor there. He facilitated the men's panel, and I was on another panel. This was only a weekend. My friend who lived in Dallas actually was our free Uber for the weekend. And so to celebrate our last night there, we went out with all of the speakers. One of the speakers was my boy. I had known him for ages. And we all went out to dinner. I paid for dinner that night.
Okay.
And it's because he legitimately didn't have it. We had discussed before dinner. And I said, well, this is where everyone wants to go. No worries. I'll cover the check. Okay, cool. So when we go to close out, my friend puts out her card. I put out my card. He goes to pull out his card. And I'm looking like, I told you, I would get it. And so he just kind of holds his card out. And I tell my friend, hey, put your card up. Like you done told us around here as a free Uber. I got you. Don't even worry about it. Anyway, waitress comes out. I give my card, pay for the meal, and we get in the car. We're getting ready to pull off. My friend is a witness. And he proceeds to check me for not giving him my card under the table.
Oh.
And I'm like, hey, I've never been in a situation where I've had to pay for a dude's meal before. So I'm sorry I didn't know the protocol, but you're not about to check me in front of my friend over that. You could have waited until we got back to the hotel if it really bothered you that bad. He was like, no, I just felt like we all family here. We all family. I'm like, you just met her 24 hours ago. This is not cool. We were done. I knew then we was done. So when we got
back, let me ask you, had he addressed it correctly? Because this has been like a topic on the internet. I don't know if you know.
I wonder, could the judge blame all of them for my child being kidnapped? Because everybody in that shit together. They all the higher up. They all need to be exposed. They all need to get in trouble. Every hospital and clinic I went through that said that I was crazy and I was not pregnant, all they asked need to be sued. I want everything that's owed to me. I want everything because I'm mad. I'm frustrated. They tormented my life. And this shit is not right. They shouldn't have did this to me, y'all.
So let me dial back just a little bit. So everything has happened. You saw Sandra Bullock. They confiscated your phone. When they brought you the baby, did you ask them where's your other baby? You are safe with me. If he would have handled it correctly, as talked to you in private and gave you another way to do it, could you have maybe accepted it, or was it because he did that whole fiasco in front of the friend?
It was doing it in front of the friend, but this is like a series of epic fails. We are declining at this point. It's not one of those things, well, if he had handled it right, do you think you guys could have worked it out? We were having so many issues by this point. Our communication was poor. He spoke Chinese, I spoke Japanese. We communicated. We just didn't communicate well. That was a real issue. I did feel like Yusha was being manipulative at the end of it between my friends, and we had a whole friend thing over this. Aside from that, the differences of religion. Yeah. And I feel like I try to be very open and accepting, but the straw that broke the camel's back was over Easter. And so
we can't be unequally yoked at all.
Yes. And so I think I really gave him a fair chance, but when you couple all that together, it's like, this is just not a good fit, and it's okay. The whole issue with the being manipulative with one of my best friends, like me and my best friend, we have a whole email chain between he and I, her and I, Sherelle and Black. Like, it was a whole mess. And I was just like, this is a no for me. And I honestly think Yusha and I could have been friends. And I don't want to say friends. I don't think we could ever been friends. I think we could have been cordial. The way
I have two questions, and then I'm gonna move on from him, because you are now in a new situation.
Yeah.
And we want to give respect to that. So I just want to ask two more questions.
Sure.
I want to ask a question about the love thing. Do you think that it was too soon to say it, or you more so live in the moment? And what was that like with his answer? Because his answer to me, from what you said on the couch at the reunion, it wasn't like I'm not ready to say it yet. It kind of was like he put a little sting to it.
Yeah, that sucked. And I often ask people the question of what's too soon. When it comes to that, like, I've never fallen in love with people I've dated, and I have loved people instantly. Like, I don't know what's too soon. In his case, I feel like I was in the moment and felt what I felt, and I cared about him deeply. But by the same token, his response took it was like somebody popping your bubble. And his response to me just was not very. To me, it wasn't kind. I don't mind him not saying it back. That's not the thing. You don't ever want somebody to be like, I love you too, when they don't. Right. But I think he could have delivered that in a different way. Telling me to stand on it like I'm a dude.
A little harsh.
It was very off-putting. And even when I told, Black and Sherelle was like, I wanted to punch him in his face over it. Because who says that? Like, it was just a weird response. But in talking to Black, it enabled me to get a little bit more understanding Yusha is not necessarily the most emotional, feely type of guy.
Yeah.
And
he's
so
very stoic.
Yes. And because he's like that, this is how he responds. He doesn't see anything wrong with that. And I do feel like over time, I just learned that that was not for me. I definitely need someone who's more self-aware when it comes to their emotions and feelings. And I'm a romantic. I like all the feels. I want someone who's romantic and that pays attention to those things that make me feel like a woman. I don't want to feel like I'm constantly fighting a brick every time I'm talking to you about things that are sentimental.
Yeah. And then my last question about this subject is, we got to see you introduce the kids, and we know that at me being a mother also, how important that is. So how do they feel about how everything transpired?
Yeah, so I actually did a confessional about that and they didn't air it. So the reason why they were even introduced to Yusha, because believe it or not, I'm actually very particular about that. I can count on one hand how many dudes my kids have met. And their dad and I have we've been divorced for 9 years. So I'm free to date, been free and clear to date. All that to say, I'm very particular. But after the Kevin situation, my kids made me promise that if I decided to be exclusive with anyone, they wanted to meet them as soon as possible.
Okay.
And so I introduced them to Yusha to honor their requests. And my kids, they're minors, but they're not kids. They're not toddlers. My youngest is 13. So they're very intelligent and self-aware. And then my oldest is 22. All that to say, I honored their wishes. They met him. They thought he was a nice guy. My younger two really didn't have an opinion either way because they're young, you know. But my older two said that he was better than Kevin, but they felt like I could do better.
Oh, wow.
And not to say this is like, you know, a knock to him, but in my oldest daughter's opinion, she just said, you know, Mom, I just don't see it. Like there's something that's a disconnect. He seems like a nice enough guy, but I just don't think he's the right guy for you. And she was like, I just feel like you'd either date a doctor or a lawyer. Like you
let's go, daughter.
but what she's saying, you have to think my daughter's 22. She's been with me the longest. So she's gonna know who I am the best out of her siblings. And Kayla's also very fair. And so she was like, no, he seems like a nice enough guy, and he's definitely better than the last one. But you know, keep plugging. The right one will come. But
at least you're ascending and not descending.
So, you know, I respected their wishes, but we just didn't last much longer after that, unfortunately.
So done with that.
Sure.
I want to move on to, I guess, the lesser of the most tumultuous relationships on the show. Let's go to Joy and Clifton.
Yes.
With that whole thing of the game, was Clifton being aggressive? Because we all know the weight of that word in this demographic. What do you think about that situation? Do you think Clifton was wrong? Do you think he did too much? Do you think he was matching energy? What?
So I believe that Clifton was being Clifton. And from my perspective, watching it, I didn't feel like he was trying to be aggressive towards her. The word that I would use is antagonistic. And because I have witnessed Clifton be an antagonist, that's on brand. Like he really would antagonize, and he would do it trying to be funny, not trying to be mean, not trying to be rude, but Clifton can antagonize the heck out of somebody. And that's what I believe he was trying to do. So I don't believe he was trying to threaten her or harm her. I just don't believe that. But what I will say is that I can't say how she did or didn't feel. I really can't. I can't speak for her. I was not there. I was not a part. Based off of what I'm witnessing on camera, I saw him lean forward, which to me is an antagonistic move. Like, what you gonna do, boo? But I don't think he was trying to fight her. I just don't. I don't feel like he was trying to fight her.
I don't see that. I don't see that in Clifton. But I also have another opinion because I watched the other show that they were on, Ready to Love. Ooh, shout out to them again. But okay, so let's say that we respect how she's feeling and we respect how he's feeling too. Can we honestly say that Ashley antagonizes too?
Can she be antagonistic too?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Okay. I think I'm the one person that can admit to that. Hell, I was the brunt of it, Caesar.
I'm like, we gotta look at this whole picture, people.
No, I'm like, and so this is where I'm gonna be honest. I said this to my boyfriend when I watched that scene, because we got all the scenes before we did reunion. Mm-hmm. And because I wasn't there, y'all, that was the first time I had ever seen it.
Okay, give us the real feelings when you first saw it.
So when I first saw it, I told my boyfriend, I said, ooh, I don't think this is gonna go the way Ashley wanted to go. You want my real response? I'm giving it to
you. Yeah.
I said, I don't think this is gonna go the way she wanted to go. And even he was like, you don't think? I was like, I'm telling you, I don't think so. It's not given the energy that she described. And because it's not given the energy that she described, it's going to make it seem like she over-exaggerated.
Yes. So in the light of that, Quick's response, do you feel that because I do feel that she exaggerated. However, like you said, in any situation, you can't tell somebody how to feel. Correct. We can respect that. Yeah. But at the same time, I feel like it's levels to things. So just talking, dating, boyfriend, husband. If you go home and you tell your husband that somebody disrespected you, it's on and popping. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think that was fair to Quick, because now he's in a whole situation with Clifton where threats have been spewed out, all different type of things. What was that like being in there at the reunion at that moment? Because that was a very tense moment.
It was craziness. It was craziness. It was one of those times again where I feel like Clifton was being Clifton because he's the one that threw it out there first. Quick didn't approach him. He didn't say anything to him. I felt like Clifton was, y'all, that was a crazy little time there. That was crazy. And even Carlos, they didn't air it, but I'm gonna tell you what he said. Even Carlos, because when they got us off stage and I looked at Arena and Jamie and I'm like, y'all, tell Clifton to cut it out. Like, this is not the time. Like, I don't want nobody to get hurt right now. And he's antagonizing. But Carlos is over because Quick and Ashley, they done flew off the handle by this point. Like, they are mad for real. This is a real situation. And Carlos is
Which I feel like it's so unfortunate because how do I want to say this? I talk about this on my platform a lot. I feel like big fights and feuds that last years started over something that was so small.
Right.
And I hate to see that it's at this point when it was something so small, really.
Yeah. I mean, it's out of hand, but Carlos actually went over with Ashley and Quick and was talking to them. And Carlos was like, I see Cap. I see the Cap. I see the Cap.
Carlos, now I'm gonna move on from that for a moment because I do have a question because you said everybody got the scenes before the reunion. Mm-hmm. I want to know how you feel about Ashley saying to someone's wife that they're a mean girl. Like, I understand sharing your thoughts, your opinions, but come on now, disrespect is disrespect.
Yeah, she fortunate Joy didn't pop her one because I don't think I could sit there and have somebody call my husband a mean girl and me not respond. I feel like, she handled it very well because I mean, in all honesty, y'all saw my responses season 1. So why people think I'm all of a sudden a flunky and Ashley's just running over me, it's just not true. Unfortunately, it's just the way they had to squeeze this editing together.
Right.
Because there's a lot that they didn't capture on camera, y'all. Like, there's a lot of meat and potatoes that's missing. So they are doing their best to put
to your I don't want to say benefit, but to what you're saying, I totally agree, because even in our group, people are like, well, what's taking them so long to come back? Where is the new season? So you explaining that gives us insight to why the breaks are sometimes so long, is because you said they were scrambling for a couple of different situations.
Yeah, they really were. They really were. And so they so y'all, and this is what I tell people. I just don't have time to argue with people online. The truth is the truth. Some people will play into what the audience only sees, and this is where you get some rah-rah with certain things. But some things are just flat facts. I can literally pull up texts from producers asking me for photos for different stuff. Can you send me a photo for this? Send me a photo for that. So now a producer asked me for photos with me and Ashley. Now I know why. Because they have to insert that to make it seem like we're closer than we are, when in reality, we were not that close during the season.
Right.
So there's a lot being pieced together that you guys are it's manufactured mess. It's just that in the midst of that manufactured mess, reality has also happened, like the real reality. And people really don't rock with each other for real.
Speaking of not rocking with people for real, let's get into this Jamie and Arena situation. Where do you want to start that at? Because it's a lot going on.
Yeah, I feel like that's amplified by Jamie, and I've just decided to let him have it, because Jamie is the type of person, he's a Taurus, and once you offend them, they're going to try to go for blood no matter what, whether that blood makes sense or not. That's how they are. And so I let him have it. I literally do my best to reference him in particular as little as possible.
But I think that's wise, though, because that goes back to just old school. Women stay out of men's business, men stay out of women's business. So I think that's wise to do.
Yeah. And I think the more, and to your point with men defending their women, right? My boyfriend's not on reality TV. He ain't the reality TV type, but I don't want it to get so bad that, little does Jamie know, he's getting ready to run up on my man in a very unlikely situation. And I don't want there to be a thing, because again, just like he claims he's defending his wife, well, my man is going to defend me. And I don't want them getting into anything, because I've continued to entertain whatever he feels like popping off at the mouth, because, it's just, you don't want that. And so it's just better if I ignore it, because again, at the end of the season, I'm not continuing this anyway. They're going to be invisible to me. Once I close this chapter, I don't know who they are. Don't even ask me. I'm like, on to bigger and better things. But
it's so surprising, Winter, because during the season, I don't feel like y'all had any run-ins. I felt like y'all turned over a new leaf, especially coming from first season to now.
Yeah.
Like, you were able to be in a house together. There was no back and forth. You and Arena were sitting in seated situations multiple times. Like, I don't even understand where this came from. Speaking of where things came from, check out this interview that I did with Sweet Tea over on my YouTube channel, where I come from. You've already missed it, but don't worry. It's still there, along with lots of other content that I'm sure you'll enjoy. While you're over there, hit the like button and be sure to subscribe. I'm so glad that you guys are enjoying the content over here. I know you'll love the content over there. Now, let's get back to this interview with Winter.
Well, this came from, I don't think Jamie liked that Ashley and I were doing YouTubes, and we were being very honest on our YouTubes.
So I have not seen these. Maybe I need to go take a look.
So then we had a YouTube with Carlos. Then he wanted a YouTube with Carlos. That's how that started. Like, that kind of popped off this weird back and forth. All that to say, when Jamie let me take it back. So Jamie and Arena do their interview with Carlos. We do our own recap with both Carmen's on me and Ashley's recap. And then then Ashley's best friend, Alicia, is on our recap. Between those two recaps, I think it just steady was poking at Jamie. So this is where I feel like his cyberbullying got worse during this time, because he was just so angry about what we were saying. And my response to that is, if you have an issue with what we're saying, create your own YouTube channel and give your own opinions. Like that's what YouTube is for. Everybody is not going to see things eye to eye. All that to say, Alicia brings up a conversation that was had, and I had this conversation with Jamie. And so she was saying she was shocked by how I just came out with it. And really, it's because I didn't think anything of it. I really didn't think it was that big a deal. Anyway, this is literally 2 years old. We're talking like late summer 2022.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So it's old. Okay, we're discussing it. No big deal, moving onward. That conversation upset Jamie. Of course, it upset Arena. I think this when she calls us out of our names on her story or something like that. I still don't think anything of it. Y'all know what the deal is. We've already hashed this out. It didn't make the scene. Arena and I had a conversation about it. The scene before I invite them to the cast trip. She was like, I don't like that you told Jamie, just don't talk about it anymore. I'm like, okay, fine. No, moving onward. I didn't think it was that big of a deal. So that was squashed. Y'all never know what's going on. All this is done off camera.
Right.
It ain't on camera, y'all. So Alicia brings it up in Ashley and I's recap. Carmen's in the comments backing up exactly the same thing I told Jamie, the same thing I told Arena, the same thing Arena told Ashley. Nobody's telling any different of a story. Arena does an interview with Dustin, I believe, and references her and I's conversation before I invite them to the cast trip. Arena does not tell the truth about what we talked about.
Oh, no.
So, in response,
so then you have to address it.
Because when I do an interview with Reality Rundown, he plays that clip for me. And I'm like, that's not true. That's not what that conversation was about. She didn't check.
And not only that, you're seeing that clip after you guys have discussed, you're not going to bring it up no more.
Right. So this comes, and I'm like, well, don't lie. Don't sit here and make up stuff. So now I got to clarify what we really talked about. Now, in retrospect, if I hadn't known that Jamie would turn around and go interview the preacher and try to get him to, and listen, I don't fault the man. I ain't going to admit to that to nobody's husband either. No, I didn't say it. Winter line, all the things. But it happened. And it's still his word versus mine, unless he has a recording of us talking that day. And he does not. Right. So, and another thing, somebody released the preacher's picture to the blogs and Jamie blamed it on me. And I didn't. And the crazy part is I've known who he was since 2 years ago. If I wanted to release his picture, I could have done it. I could have named him by first and last name. Nobody's trying to get into all that. That man don't want to be outed. In fact, Jamie asked me who he was, and that's in text. This whole conversation is not in person. I don't chase Jamie down and talk to him. That's another theory that's out there. I chased him down. What? We are having this conversation in a message thread. So this is documented. We are rehashing a lot of stuff in that conversation. All that to say, because that picture got released and they thought I did it, which I didn't, that's when they went and, now they know who he is. So they went and interviewed him. He claims he never said it. I said Brittany and not Arena. And I'm like, first of all, Brittany wasn't at the event that day. Why are you randomly bringing up their daughter? Nobody asked you about her. We don't know you know the Tylers. So why would we ask about something we don't know? And for what reason do we have to come to you on info? It's a lot of stuff that don't make sense with.
Yeah.
The math ain't mathing, sir. You should have just owned up to it. Say you lied. I had no business bringing it up, and I'm apologizing for any like confusion or issues it caused with your family or Winter. Like, I should have just shut my mouth. That would, or just not answer the phone at all, because nobody forced you to pick it up.
Now you're speaking on the preacher, right?
Right, the preacher, right. But he said it. I tell you what, to the day I die, as God is my witness, he can strike me down. That man said that day. Why he said it, he'll have to take it up with God. But he said it. Now, I can take ownership and say, you know, Winter, did you have to repeat it on Reality Rundown? No, but I can't stand when people lie. And so now we got to clarify why you just told a bold-faced lie, and when you know that's not what we talked about. So if I had to do anything over, I just wouldn't have said it on Reality Rundown. It doesn't make it any less true. He said it, and it is what it is. I'm not ever recanting that. I'm not ever retracting it because he said it. Now, what I didn't like is that I do feel like, and Carmen and I had a separate conversation, that she didn't stand up and actually tell the whole truth about what she knew and went down as well. And so, you know, different story.
Let's talk about Carmen for a second. How do you feel about Carmen basically disowning Joey?
I think this was bound to happen.
Oh.
This is bound to happen. In fact, when Joy and I went out to karaoke, I told her I didn't agree with what Carmen did at Jamie's retirement party. And I told Carmen this because I'm like, at the time, nobody really cared for Carmen. So my thing is, why Joy?
That's what I thought.
Why throw Joy under the bus to people who don't even like you like that? I just thought that was real corny. So I told Joy this when we went out to karaoke, and Joy was like, well, I don't know how she think that's cool. Like, that's my husband, my man. That's not going to be okay for too much longer. So I was like, hey, you know, that's between y'all, but I didn't think that was cool. Joy went and told Clifton what I said. Clifton told Carmen what I told Joy. And then Carmen called me to ask me about why I said that I didn't agree with what she did.
Now that puzzles me.
It's true.
Clifton, what?
So I said, Carmen, yes, I did tell Joy that. And I stand 10 toes down. I didn't agree with what you did because, again,
she was wrong. She was wrong.
What?
Well,
my thing is,
I won't say wrong. I'll say it was effed up. My
thing is, Joy was there that night. Why wait until Joy leaves and sit down and come and tell us this? Girl, go talk to your friend.
Right.
And this is why a part of me is not apologetic for how the thing went down with Jamie and Arena. Because when we got into the conversation, it wasn't like I was gossiping and telling Ashley and Alicia. In fact, I didn't tell Ashley and Alicia. Ashley told Alicia because Arena told Ashley. So I wasn't gossiping about it. I talked to I'm not a punk and I'm not a coward. So if we're going to have a conversation about that, no, I'm serious. If we're going to have a conversation, I'm going to talk to the person that's involved. So for me, for you to wait until Joy leaves is very cowardly. You could have had this discussion with Joy while she was here. You could have said, hey, we need to come to the side. I don't like the way this or that is being done. Clifton wasn't.
And it would seem that with their relationship, I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, you're fine.
But it would seem like with the relationship that we think they have, because, you know, we're on the other side of the screen. We're not in their lives. But from what it looks like to us, y'all came from Ready to Love and y'all are close. So it's, to me, it would seem like you would have already had this conversation with Joey, not have this conversation with people who don't even really rock with you like that.
Thank you. Sherelle didn't care for her at the time. Ashley didn't care for her at the time. It was a lot of people that didn't care for her at the time. Ma'am.
And it was like she initiated that conversation.
Yes. And they didn't show my confessional, but we were asked about this in confessional. And I was like, I don't agree with what Carmen did. You didn't agree with it, and I didn't agree with it. In fact, heck, we were sitting on the couch over there talking about how we didn't agree with it. And you should tell you that. We both was looking like, no, Carmen, don't do this, Carmen. This ain't the place. Yeah. And I looked at him like, they don't even like her.
Now that looked opportunistic to me. Because then she got to have her own confessionals from that moment as to where you just were there. Now, after this conversation, now you got a confessional and all this and all that. And if you're saying that you're close to Clifton and that is your friend, ultimately this is his wife and it's going to affect him no matter what. So why do that?
I believe, just like she says, Joy and Clifton had an agenda to get on this show. I believe that Carmen had an agenda to get on this show. And to Ashley's credit, when we left Joy's party, Carmen and I live in the same area. Carmen asked for a ride back home. I agreed to give Carmen a ride. On my way to the car, while I was waiting on Carmen to come outside, Ashley was leaving at the same time. She pulled up to me and she said, don't give her a ride home. She is trying to weasel her way onto this show.
Well, what did you call that, Uber?
No, I took her home because me trying to give everybody the benefit of the doubt. Because this is the thing. I think, and this is a great point. Like, y'all, I was team nobody the whole season. I was cool with everybody. So we live in the same area. No harm. I'm gonna take the girl home. She don't stay but 15 minutes away from me. Like, it's cool. Like, it's no problem.
Well, on the ride home, did you say, girl, what are you doing?
We talked about all of it because I just didn't understand. I was like, I just don't think that was a good idea. And she was like, well, I just feel like they haven't shut down the threesome rumors and this is my reputation on the line. And I'm thinking to myself, girl, you don't know how reality TV work, baby. You gonna
we really don't care like that.
No, but I'm like, I don't think you understand. You already by this point in the season are gonna look like somebody trying to take somebody man.
Absolutely.
It was too late. That was the one time where I think she could have actually redeemed herself from not falling into that narrative. But unfortunately, throwing Joy under the bus.
Now it's kind of like she solidified it.
Right.
Because it basically was like, she said that was her friend. What? I'm Clifton's friend.
Thank you.
Like, well, damn.
So, child, when I tell you, it's been a whole hot diggity mess. And final episode is getting ready to air for the reunion, and I'm just so ready to be done with it all.
And let's talk about that. So, what is new for winter? Are you excited to be done? I think I know the answer for that, but I just want you to say, are you happy to be done with this chapter and moving on? And what's next for you?
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to be done. I can't hardly wait. I know somebody had sent me a screenshot of Jamie being mad about some interview I did. And I'm just like, y'all, please get him a hobby. But he was like, please quit talking about your former castmates. And I'm like, sir, if I'm doing interviews about the show, they're gonna ask about y'all. That like that's a part of it. But trust me, I cannot wait to act like y'all are invisible. Once this season closes and I'm done doing my media commitments, interviewing for I am like literally who like I'm so serious. Outside of that, I am in the middle of pitching a lot for different projects that I'm working on. I have some acting opportunities coming up, so I'll be continuing to do that. Working on new music. My latest song, Fall, which is my latest single, is out on every music streaming platform. That was actually co-written and co-produced by my new boo. And so we are going back in the studio.
So let them know you don't have a problem with a hustler.
No. But he does music on this is his I call music his passion project. He actually owns he owns a few companies. So this is like what he does like when he wants to be creative, but he's done his time in the music industry. He's well respected in the industry. He's toured with the likes of Tank, and I could go down the list. Like he's an amazing musician. And so we're working together, and I feel like he's cracking the whip in the studio, like really pushing me and just tapping into those God-given talents, working on launching a new initiative that will be, a support community for women in leadership. And I am very heavily focused on minority creative leadership, because I feel like that's the wave of the future for a lot of minorities. They're going to find their wealth in being creative, not necessarily in traditional streams of income, versus like going through college. College is not for everybody. So work in that wheelhouse, and, still being a mom, like that is my core. My littles are 13 and 16 now. We have 3 drivers in the house now. So we got 1 more, and then everybody will be a driver. Some things I'm under NDA and I can't share yet, but I will be able to soon. And my goal is just to continue teaching, coaching, doing media. And I don't know that I like this type of reality TV. I have my thoughts about it, but there are other opportunities that I feel like are better suited for who I am and my personality. And I also am just working on things not being so US based. So it's just a lot coming down the pipeline. Y'all go start seeing it. At some point, people won't be able to ignore it, and they'll just say, this girl really just moved on and did her own thing.
Yes.
I'm excited about that. I'm excited.
That is the last question that I want to ask about them, because I said we was moving on. But as you're talking, something else popped in my head. Is there any relationships that you're going to continue after the show? Or are you just looking to move on to bigger, better?
I'm definitely looking forward to moving on to bigger and better. And to be honest, I just don't live in anybody's area that's on this show. So I'm not going to run into anybody at the grocery store. I mean, that's true. Like, I'm not going to run into anybody at the grocery store. I'm not going to see them in the car pickup line. Like, we don't legitimately live in the same area. We don't run in the same circles. Everybody has their own sets of friends. All that to say, I could definitely still see being cool with Ashley and Quick. Like I said, we've got to know each other outside of this reality TV bubble. I'll still see, Sherelle and Black. They live even further, child. They live in Egypt. So I don't see them. I probably don't see them the most, because they just stay so far. But if I run into them, it's all love, no issues there. But other than that, I really just don't see anyone else. I just don't. And we don't run in the same circle. So that probably will be it for me. And we'll just keep living and moving forward.
Well, I'm excited for you. I can't wait to see what comes of this. You're going to have to keep in contact, because we're going to have to bring you back when you get into other endeavors and stuff like that. We support you over here in the Galaxy and on the Love and Marriage DC page.
I appreciate that.
It's been enjoyable and entertaining to watch. Because I will say this before we get out of here. I have a problem with the dishers that can't take.
Yeah.
And I feel like since we've met you, and even I've said multiple times, my feelings, or I'm not feelings, but my opinion of you have changed. And I feel like even when I wasn't Team Winter, since we all got to pick teams, so when I wasn't necessarily Team Winter, even though you dished it, you took it. You know what I'm saying? Now you might dish some more, but you took it. And I just don't like when people, they can spew all these things, but the moment somebody says something to them, it's this huge problem, and like they haven't done anything. So that's why I asked some of those questions, because it's about equal opportunities around here.
Absolutely. And I appreciate that. And I think that's a very balanced and fair way to really kind of look at any reality TV ensemble cast, because it does become a little ridiculous at certain points. Like, no one is innocent. And yes, if you dish it, you got to be able to take it. But I would encourage anyone who's wanting to continue to follow my journey beyond Love and Marriage DC to go subscribe to my YouTube channel over at Winter Womanland.
And we're going to be doing, www.
Yes, all things, winter related, women's empowerment, and just really having fun. You guys will get a really good in-depth look into my life. My members only right now are getting the real good juicy tea. That's where I'm a little bit more
We can be open over there.
Yes, a little more open about some things that are private that I just will never put on social media. But it's a good time. I'm having a good time growing my YouTube channel right now.
Now, the last thing I want to ask, and you guys, speaking of her YouTube channel, make sure that you like this video. Make sure you're subscribed, and all of her links will be in the description so you can easily find it. The last thing I want to ask you is, we've spoken about your women's empowerment endeavors and things like that when you have your different retreats and things like that. How's that going? And are you having another one in the near future?
Yes, ma'am. We are in the planning phases for that now. And that umbrella is under my Grow Her brand. And so, yes, we have a Grow Her wellness retreat coming up. We have a Grow Her Women in Business brunch. And we have a Grow Her Mother's Day tea. So yeah, that's the funny thing. Despite all this crazy stuff, your girl be over here working regardless.
Yeah.
And working and building. And I've been very fortunate to have something solid outside of this show. So things have actually progressively gotten busier for me, despite the show doing what the show does. But yeah, I'm still doing that, still very passionate about it. In fact, we're working on filling up the speaking engagement calendar. So you guys will, this is not the last you'll see of me. It just won't be in reality.
And we're definitely gonna have you back in the galaxy because we love you over here.
Thank you.
And I'm just a supporter of real. You know, I do like a lot of people that society doesn't seem to like that much, but I like people who know who they are.
Thank you.
And love themselves, good, bad, and ugly. None of us are perfect.
No.
But if you're honest about who you are, I can rock with that. I can't rock with the posers. The people that say they are one thing but present something totally different. I can't rock with that. And I don't care what arena that is. On TV, off TV, radio, I don't care.
I agree. So. But I appreciate you and thank you for the support.
Welcome
to my galaxy. Welcome to my galaxy. This is EsessionByEnicole. You can always call me E, but don't never call me Nicole. Your presence is appreciated. Please be sure to hit that like button and that subscribe. It's always a vibe. In my galaxy.
Hey, it's Shawn Dufresne from Ready to Love, and you are watching my girl, TheeEnicole. Tasha Lyons telling you to tune into TheeEnicole.
This is Samson from Ready to Love, and you're tuned into TheeEnicole.
It's Winter from Love Bear CC, and you're tuned in to TheeEnicole.
Make sure you guys subscribe to TheeEnicole. She is amazing. Click that button, subscribe, and you are going to enjoy all of the information that she's going to share.
So come on over and tune in.
I've been talking about this from day one. And you supposed to be so-called a good doctor or whatever, but you did this to me in 2008 and you vanished for all these years. She told me she got paid for stealing my son. She told me she was sorry. She told me she didn't think that the child would mean anything to me because I was a lesbian. I didn't have no man. I didn't have no money. I'm on disability on a fixed income. And I had a small amount of PCP in my system. She didn't think I could handle 2 kids. What?
Wait.
My child.
The doctor actually said this to you?
No, Dr. Lorraine Gillian said this to me.
Right.
Yeah, the doctor said this to me.
She admitted selling your baby.
She admitted selling my baby, and she also came forward and came clean and say her conscience is adding up. It's coming up.